What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from July 7th, 2021. Of course, it's the first show back on the road. It's Road Rager. Of course, this was the special episode of Dynamite in Miami. First show on the road for AEW. Of course, WWE is going to be going back on the road next week, but I have to say, I don't want to be an AEW I don't want to be a full-on AEW mark, but I have to say, I enjoyed most of this show. Like the majority of this show, there's like one little thing I didn't like, but the rest of the show, I mean, like I was really impressed about what I saw in this show. The crowd, first off, the crowd was on fire for this show. I've said it on my previous AEW reviews. AEW's crowd is quite different than the main roster WWE crowd. NXT and AEW, both of their crowds are similar, mainly because of the fact that their audience is a hardcore wrestling audience. When it comes to the main roster for WWE, for Raw and SmackDown, when things were normal, it was most likely a casual fan crowd. The only times that the crowd was ever like a hardcore crowd for the main roster was if they were in cities like either Newark, Chicago, or New York. Every city, like for example, like a Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma, Washington is it's legitimately a casual fan city. But like if you go to cities like Chicago or New York, I mean like the crowds are on fire. But for AEW, the thing is that every single week, AEW, when things were normal before COVID happened and the world went to hell, everything was literally every single AEW crowd was not dead at all. Every AEW crowd enjoyed the show, and there was a lot of crazy chants happening. It was an awesome atmosphere, and the fans on this show were really energetic. But of course, we started off with the strap match with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in a strap match. What are my thoughts on this match? This was a really good match. But I'm not going to lie, throughout the entirety of this entire feud with Cody and QT Marshall, with the whole Nightmare family versus the Factory, I wasn't really invested at all. I mean, QT Marshall turning heel, I didn't really care about, considering the fact that I knew for a fact they were not going to do anything going forward when it comes to QT Marshall. The only reason that they put I feel like the only reason why they turned QT Marshall heel and put him up with a faction is the fact that AEW is going to be introducing trios titles in the future, because throughout the entirety of Dynamite, especially throughout this past year, they were introducing a lot of small factions like, Matt Hardy's faction or Team Taz, and now we got QT Marshall's faction. And of course, we got the Pinnacle, we got the Inner Circle. We got a lot of factions in AEW, and I feel like the main reason is because of the fact that they're definitely going to be introducing trios titles for the company. And I do think that's going to be the right way to go. They're trying to build a foundation for those titles before they even introduce them. And that's why I complain a lot about the women's tag titles in WWE, is because once they introduced those titles, WWE did not have any women's tag teams. They should have built the foundation for those women's tag teams in order to build the foundation for those tag team championships. But instead, they introduced the title first, and they just put two women randomly together, and boom, you got a tag team. For me, and for a lot of people, it doesn't work that way. If you want legit tag teams, you have to build them up first. And, that's the problem with that WWE's having, not only with the women's tag teams, but their men's tag team as well. They have a lot of great tag teams there, of course, the Street Profits and the War Raiders. But I feel like, that's that. Everybody else, like, I honestly do not care about everybody else in the tag team division in WWE. In AEW, their tag team division is solid. But enough about me rambling. We got the strap match, of course. This was a really good match. Of course, there was multiple hits with the strap, of course, because both the wrestlers, both Cody and QT, were tied with the strap. But quick notes on the match: we got a suicide dive by QT by Cody. No, on QT by Cody. My bad. After that, the match starts. So we got a right hand by Cody. Cody wraps the strap onto the throat of QT Marshall. We got a power slam by Cody. Cody whips QT with the strap. QT misses the diamond cutter. Then after that, he gets the strap in between and gets whipped multiple times. After that, Aaron Solo, of course, from the Factory, tries to interfere and attack Cody, but Dustin Rhodes comes out of nowhere to try to make the save. After that, we got a low blow by QT. QT's in control. He whips Cody, chokes Cody with the strap. He taps the first corner, then the second corner, but Cody tries to hit the extra corner, but doesn't proceed to. We got a suplex by QT. QT touches the corner of the ring, then sends QT to the ring post. After this, QT is busted open. Yes, there was color in this match. QT was bleeding. Cody taps one corner, then the second corner. Then the lights cut out. Now, originally, when this happened, I was like, okay, this is nothing. This is probably nothing. This is probably just a technical difficulty. But as we will see later on in the show, and I didn't mention this in my review, but I will talk about it. I know. Tommy End. Tommy End is in AEW. I will talk about that later. I went apeshit when that happened. I swear to God, I went apeshit because, but we'll continue on with this match. We'll continue on with this match, and then we'll get to Tommy End. I kind of spoiled it right there. So QT's busted open. After the lights go out, the lights go back on. We get a backbreaker frontline combo by QT Marshall. We get a right hand by QT, then a whip by QT with the strap. QT goes to the top rope. Then he hits QT on the head with the strap. He wraps the strap onto the throat of QT. Cody tries to go for the Hurricane Rana, but QT counters from the top, hits a powerbomb, which I actually enjoyed that spot. That was a really good spot to see. Then he taps the first corner, then the second corner of the ring. QT wraps the strap of Cody again, so there was a lot of choking going on when it comes to the strap. Of course, because it's a strap match. QT then hits the diamond cutter. You stole DDP's move, bro. After that, Cody pulls the strap for QT and does not touch the last corner. QT whips the strap of Cody. Cody, after that, no sells and gets more offense. We get a springboard diamond cutter by Cody Rhodes, which is awesome. Then we get Cody tapping all three corners of the ring. Then QT comes back with the low blow. And QT, after that, pulls the strap, flips off Cody. We got a crossroads by QT 3 times. Cody taps all four corners of the win, and Cody wins the strap match. Awesome opener to Dynamite. I loved the fact that the crowd was energetic. It was awesome to see a match from a feud that I really honestly did not care about. I actually cared about this, and I'm not going to lie, Cody was actually really over. And there have been a lot of complaints that, Cody is getting a little bit too much of the spotlight, kind of like what WWE does with when they had guys like John Cena and Roman Reigns at the top. Now, granted, Roman Reigns is still at the top, but I'm talking about when Roman Reigns was a babyface that nobody liked. People were starting to think that Cody was starting to go that route, but from what I see in Miami, Cody is over in Miami, so it's probably a few cities where he's probably going to get that mixed reaction, but from here, he got a really positive reaction from the crowd. That's what I was really surprised of. But overall thoughts on the strap match, this was a really awesome match to see. Can't wait to see what goes on. And finally, we don't have to see Cody and QT Marshall feud anymore. Shawn Spears, backstage, talking about Sammy Guevara in a pre-taped vignette. Basically talks about the chair shot and how he cost Sammy Guevara the match, the awesome match that Sammy Guevara had with MJF. If you want two future wrestlers of AEW, you got Sammy Guevara and MJF. Speaking of MJF, I'll get to him later. But after that, Sammy throws the chair on Spears and, just sits on it and just says, got you again, bro. All right, next segment. We got the great Tony Schiavone interviewing the AEW World Champion, the Impact World Champion, the TNA World Champion, and the AAA Mega Champion, Kenny, by God, Omega. Of course, he comes out with Don Callis, and Don Callis is awesome on the microphone. He grabs the microphone and sends Cody to the corner of the ring, says it's a great time to give everybody a history lesson, and says for the last few months, they made history. And then all of a sudden the fans chanted, "You got fired," which, of course, if you haven't been watching Impact Wrestling, because, of course, a lot of the storylines, or one storyline, that being Kenny Omega, is kind of convoluting. I don't want to say convoluting, but it's connecting with AEW. If you watch Impact Wrestling, Don Callis and kayfabe got fired by the new head of Impact, or I think it was Anthem, whatever, Tommy Dreamer. So he got fired in kayfabe, of course. And the fans were just chanting, "You got fired," which was hilarious. So it goes to show you that the fans actually watch Impact, which I haven't been watching Impact for the past few weeks. I only stick around Impact Wrestling once the pay-per-views happen. Of course, we got Kenny Omega versus Sami Callihan at the Slammiversary pay-per-view, which I'm excited to see. I'm definitely going to be watching that show because most likely I do believe that Sami Callihan is going to go over. If you want another future star of wrestling, you got Sami Callihan. But he says that, of course, Don Callis after that says that he defeated everybody. He defeated guys like Rey Fenix, Jungle Boy, John Moxley, and then says Kenny Omega won so many titles that they needed a transporter to transfer just all of the belts, and says that they have a really big problem. They beat everybody, and says that there's nobody left for Omega to beat. And the crowd chants, "We want Hangman." I shit you not. The AEW crowd, what I like about the AEW fans is, the fans can be toxic on social media, trust me. But when I'm talking about on television, you see that the fans are actually cheering for the babyface and booing the heel. And why is that? It's because of the fact that AEW books their babyfaces and heels right. There's no buts or ifs. WWE, look, what they're doing with Roman Reigns is the best thing that they're doing in the modern history ever since, the CM Punk pipe bomb. But I'm going to be 100% honest. What babyface is going to be challenging Roman Reigns and quote-unquote dethroning him? I did state earlier that Finn Balor should be the guy to do it, but of course, they got the match with The Rock most likely happening next year, so who knows what's going to happen. But what AEW does so well is they know how to book their baby faces and they know how to book their heels. Omega got booed, Callis got booed. Hangman, of course, is extremely over with the crowd because it's long-term storytelling, and what WWE fails to do all the time, especially now, is long-term storytelling. AEW has been building to this story with Hangman and Kenny Omega ever since the beginning of the company. But you can even go before AEW even started because they were both members of Bullet Club in New Japan. So, there's a connection there. Of course, they were former tag team champions. They're booking this in long term, and that's what you have to enjoy. And that's kind of weird to say, but that's what I enjoy about AEW is that they do a lot of long-term storytelling. But after that, the Dark Order come out. Evil Uno's on the mic. He has a few questions for Omega and asks Omega, why is he ignoring the crowd? Why is he ignoring the number one ranked wrestler in AEW, that being Hangman Adam Page? And then Omega tells Uno he has a lot of questions. He asks Uno a question and then low blows Uno. Then the Dark Order tries to make the save, but the Good Brothers come out and try to save Omega. But after that, Hangman comes in to make the save. He attacks the Good Brothers. He takes them out and then faces off with Kenny Omega. He was about to go for the buckshot lariat, but did not. Both had a face-off. The Good Brothers try to come in and attack Hangman Adam Page, but Omega leaves. He escapes, and what happens there is history. So we're most likely going to be getting Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega at the All Out pay-per-view in September, which I'm really excited to see. Of course, last week I did say I think it was a little bit too early, but then I came to the realization that they have been building to this story for a long period of time, ever since the beginning of AEW, because they have been doing this whole redemption storyline with Hangman Adam Page after losing the match with Chris Jericho 2 years ago in Chicago at All Out. Then he started drinking and stuff. They started telling that story, and that's what they're telling with Hangman Adam Page, and that's what I really enjoy. Jim Ross, the one and only Bog God Jim Ross, interviews Darby Allin and Ethan Page. I thought this was a pretty good little interview. Darby talks about his past, says he dropped everything to be in AEW, says that Ethan couldn't stand the fact that he was in AEW. Then all of a sudden, Ethan Page begins to talk about the independent scene, how he dragged Darby everywhere, blah, blah, blah. Says that he will take him out in the coffin match next week at Fyter Fest. And yeah, that's that. Overall thoughts, I thought this was a pretty good interview. Another thing I enjoy about AEW is the fact that how, even though you, the viewer, do not care about the match that's going to be happening, for example, if it's a match that's near down the card, that's not the main event, or the secondary main event, that's in the first few, it's in the second match of the card, AEW tries their best to at least make that match important. And that's what I really like about Ethan Page and Darby Allin. Honestly, I'm a big fan of Darby Allin. He's definitely the future of the company. Ethan Page, when he first debuted at Revolution, I honestly did not care whatsoever about Ethan Page. I said previously that, his best work was with Josh Alexander in the North at Impact. But, ever since he came to AEW and teamed with Scorpio Sky, I just did not care at all. But I feel like this promo that he cut against Darby Allin, that might have been probably the best promo he's ever cut, in my opinion. All right, we got Jake Hager and Santana and Ortiz with Conan versus FTR and Wardlow with Tully Blanchard, of course. The Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. overall thoughts on this match. This was a really awesome match to watch. The majority of these matches were all fast paced, and of course AEW does most of their matches fast paced, but they in this show in particular, a lot of their matches are just, it goes to show you that the wrestlers are just busting their ass, and this match proves it. Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz, of course, a lot of double team attempts. FTR looked awesome. FTR is one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag team in the world right now. Tully Blanchard, of course, and Conan were on the outside. So the match starts. Santana and Dax Harwood start. Both brawl. We get a drop kick by Santana. We get a suplex. Santana tries to go for the 3 amigos during commercial break, which was awesome. Well, actually, no, this was not during commercial break. Never mind. That was with Andrade. But Santana did try to go for the 3 amigos, so it was a little tribute to Eddie Guerrero, which was awesome. He hits the release German. We got a double team attempt by Santana and Ortiz. A Northern-like suplex by Ortiz after that. We got a couple chops by Harwood. Wheeler tags in. We got a power slam counter by Cash Wheeler. We got a cover and a 1 count. Wardlow tags in, works on Ortiz into the corner. We got a power bomb by Wardlow. We got a cover and a 1 count. Harwood tags in. Ortiz escapes the suplex. Then we get a Liger bomb by Santana. Jake Hager tags in. He attacks everybody. And then he takes out both members of FTR, that being Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. We're back from commercial break. Ortiz tags in. He works on Wheeler. We get an Insiguri by Wardlow, or an Insiguri. Everybody loves the Insiguri, right? Jake Hager works on the splash into the corner. We get a cannonball in the corner by Santana. We got a slam by Wardlow on Wheeler, cover by Ortiz, and a near fall. We got a double team attempt by FTR on Ortiz. We got a dragon suplex by Wheeler. We got a roll up by Harwood and a near fall. Ortiz counters Harwood's suplex with a brainbuster. Hager tags in, works on each corner on FTR, applies the ankle lock on Cash Wheeler after that. Harwood makes the save. We got a big boot by Hager. Hager wants Wardlow after that in the ring. We got a couple rights and lefts by Wardlow. Then, of course, both are just exchanging shots. Hager applies the ankle lock on Wardlow. FTR comes in, hits their finisher on Jake Hager, and win the match. After that, of course, Conan tries to come in and attack Wardlow after the Inner Circle's lost. And then after that, they just attack Conan. This feud isn't over, of course, because this is just continuing to escalate with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. Honestly, I love what they're doing with the Pinnacle and Inner Circle. I always loved 2 factions just fighting it out in wrestling. It was always awesome to see. Of course, people would love to compare like NWO Hollywood versus NWO Wolfpack, but let's be 100% real. The favorites were, of course, NWO Wolfpack, and NWO Hollywood, I mean, nobody really cared about NWO Hollywood. There was no real stars besides Hogan. Hogan, in my opinion, in NWO Hollywood, there's just no comparison there. But, I feel like this one's a little different because of the fact that, of course, they've been building to this story for a long period of time. And I love the chemistry with FTR, Santana and Ortiz, Wardlow and Jake Hager, Chris Jericho, and MJF, and, of course, Sammy Guevara and Sean Spears. This is a really awesome feud. Of course, we're going to see the blow-off with MJF and Chris Jericho in the near future. But before the face-to-face segment happens, we got a video package of Carl Anderson, Machine Gun Carl Anderson, challenging Jon Moxley for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Yes, Jon Moxley is going to be coming back to AEW after a short hiatus. It's going to be an awesome match to see. I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening in that match. Of course, Carl Anderson challenged Jon Moxley at Fyter Fest, and I think it's going to be in night 2. Let me just check here because I completely forgot, because Fyter Fest is going to be 2 nights. I think it's going to be night 1, most likely. Yeah, it's going to be night 1. Carl Anderson is going to be challenging Jon Moxley for the IWGP US title at Fyter Fest Night 1, which is next week, which I'm really excited to see, of course. I love the fact, they got this New Japan partnership happening. For someone that doesn't watch New Japan, I've only gotten a little bit of a glimpse of New Japan. I've watched a couple matches there and there, but I don't really follow the product. I love how they're implementing a lot of this stuff on mainstream television on TNT. It's really awesome to see. And, of course, we got Jon Moxley defending his IWGP US title, so it's going to be great to see. I think that match is going to be really awesome, and I definitely believe that Jon Moxley is going to get a huge, and I mean a huge, reaction when he comes out next week. MJF and Jericho. with their face-to-face segment. So before I get to this amazing segment, some dumbass jackass fan actually tried to jump the barricade and attack MJF. Yes, we're still dealing with that in 2021. I say this sometimes. People just need to just chill out. It's just wrestling, but bruh, what gives you the right, or just literally what triggers your brain to just run in from the crowd, go over the barricade, and try to attack one of the wrestlers? Are you that mental? Get a life, bro. It's stupid. People are stupid, but hey, it is what it is. So after that jackass got taken out by security, MJF says that everybody wants the MJF rub, and says that Jericho is waiting for his stipulation. And Jericho says that he should have let that fat bastard beat his ass, and basically states that he can get any stipulation he wants. He'll accept any stipulation he wants. And, he name dropped a little bit of just random stipulations out of randomly. But one that he said was he said that one stipulation is I don't even want to say it, but he says that he'll have sex with MJF's mom again, which that was a shocking line that Jericho said. I'm like, bruh, this dude is crazy, but hey, that's Jericho. Says that he will after that. So I just can't stop thinking about that. That bro, why would you say that? But even the crowd was just shocked. But MJF after that gets pissed. He says that he does not give a crap about what the people want, and says that he followed Jericho's career, and talks about, of course, the feud that he had with Jon Moxley 2 years ago, and says that Jericho made Moxley wrestle every member of the Inner Circle, and mentions that he is no longer the key demo. Says that his favorite story was of Green Hercules, and basically name drops the stipulation that he has to face every member of MJF's choosing, of course, for the next couple of weeks before the match even happens. I do believe this is most likely going to be every member against the Pinnacle. Some people even say it's going to be every member against the Inner Circle, which I think will be really shocking. But, I mean, hey, anything can happen in AEW. AEW Dynamite is one of those shows that literally, legitimately, anything can happen, and we've seen that in this show. But after that, of course, he says that he's going to go... If he has to go through everyone, then he has to face MJF, and says that if Jericho says that if he cannot beat MJF, then he shouldn't be in AEW, and then says he's the god of war. So literally, Jericho just goes on a rampage, just cuts an awesome promo after that, and then signs the contract, and then says that MJF is not finished, and says that the agreement is not done until both parties shake hands. Both shake hands. Jericho does not let go of MJF, and after that, he hits the Judas effect on MJF, which was an awesome spot. I really enjoyed it. Awesome promo, awesome segment. Of course, Jericho and MJF. MJF is definitely the future of this business. MJF, of course, this guy keeps kayfabe alive. If you meet with him at a meet and greet, he will literally act like a piece of crap to you. He will literally treat you like a piece of shit. That's his character. He's a rich boy that really just doesn't care about anybody but himself. That's MJF. And MJF just, that's his character, and he keeps that character even outside of the ring. So, hey, that's his character for you, but he cuts a really awesome promo. Jericho as well. He cuts an awesome promo. Again, Jericho's one of those guys that knows how to remain relevant in modern day wrestling because he reinvents himself and know what's hip in the times. So that's what I really enjoyed about this segment. Of course, that Judas effect at the end. Awesome part. But we got a backstage interview with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Talks about the terrible match, and I do not disagree with her. That match that Vicky Guerrero was involved in last week on Dynamite was awful. She talks about that terrible match last week and says that Reba got hurt, and then talks about how she basically talks about Vicky Guerrero bringing in Andrade and talks about how she was powerbombed through a table by Nyla Rose. And says that next week, AEW... So what she says in this promo is hilarious. She says that next week, AEW could probably go to Saudi Arabia. She literally name drops Saudi Arabia. And of course, that's a shot to WWE because of their Saudi Arabia deal, which I'm not a big fan of. A lot of fans say that that's blood money that WWE is making. I tend to agree with that. I don't know why they are getting paid billions by the Saudi government just to produce shows there. And like, from a fan watching the shows, I mean, the shows are not good at all. I don't care what anybody says, but that was a nice little dig at WWE that Britt Baker pulled on Dynamite, and says that Nyla is never getting the title back. So, yeah, I think we got a match with, I didn't write that in my notes, but most likely they're going to be wrestling. I think it's in 2 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I didn't even write that in my notes, so yeah, that's my fault. Usually when it comes to writing notes, I'm just in the moment and literally forget something, one little thing that a wrestler says that could probably be important, but that's my fault. Of course, we got Andrade El Idolo making his AEW debut against Matt Sydal, a.k.a. Evan Bourne. I'm going to call him Evan Bourne sometimes. I'm going to call him Matt Sydal. He's Matt Sydal. I'm joking. But what are my thoughts on this match? Of course, Andrade, this is his first match in AEW. I thought this was a pretty good match. It's not the best match, but of course, Andrade is against a phenomenal wrestler in Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal is one of those wrestlers that can work with basically anybody. I'm going to be honest. He can work with anybody and make his opponent look good because Matt Sydal is that experienced. So the match starts. Both lock up. We get a roll-up by Sydal. We get a twisted brainbuster by Andrade. He goes to the top. Sydal, after that, also goes to the top. We get a moonsault. Missed, but Andrade, after he misses the moonsault, literally hits a standing moonsault on Sydal, which I don't care what anybody says. That was a beautiful spot right there. I loved that spot. We get a covering day near fall. He misses a big boot. Sydal hits the twisted moonsault after that. I believe it was a twisted moonsault. It looked something like that. We got a roll up by Andrade. We get a near fall. Sydal with a couple of kicks. Andrade fights back as well. We get a spinning kick by Sydal. Sydal goes to the top, but Andrade takes him out. Andrade works on Sydal during the break. During the break, Andrade hits the Three Amigos. Again, second time a wrestler tried to do the Three Amigos on one show. Of course, Santana did it in the previous match, but Andrade did it during commercial break, so that was really awesome to see. That's one, like, and I'm not the type of person to watch the match during the commercial break on picture-in-picture. I do think it, having the commercial break, it's kind of a distraction of the match. But, of course, AEW needs to make their money when it comes to their commercial breaks, but whatever. But I stuck around with the picture-in-picture, and I saw Andrade do the Three Amigos during the commercial break, and I thought that was really awesome to see. After that, after hitting the Three Amigos, Sydal fights back with a couple of kicks. He works on Sydal again. We get a couple kicks by Sydal. Andrade fights back. We get a roll-up by Andrade. We get a near fall. We get a knee by Sydal. We get a devastating lariat after that by Andrade. So that was a really crazy clothesline after that. Andrade goes to the top. Sydal goes to the top. He gets dropped by Andrade. Goes back to the top and hits the Meteora. We get a driving knee after that by Andrade. Then we get a hammerlock by Andrade. He hits his finisher, the El Idolo, and after that, Andrade wins the match. He takes the strap and drives it to Matt Sydal. After that, he applies the cross arm breaker to Sydal. And yeah, that match is over. What are my thoughts? Andrade looked great. It sucks that Selena Vega is in WWE and she's not going to AEW now, considering the fact that Tommy Endez makes his debut in the next segment. But he does have Vicky Guerrero. Do I think him partnering with Vicky Guerrero is a good decision? I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but I like the fact that he's in AEW, and I do think that he's going to make a great impact in AEW, considering the fact that he's going to have a match with Kenny Omega at Triple Mania. Granted, that's not an AEW show. That's a AAA show down in Mexico, but it's going to be awesome to see, of course. Andrade is a look, this guy embodies Lucha Libre. Everything, his style, everything. Kenny Omega embodies a lot of different styles, and it's going to be awesome to see with those wrestlers wrestle for the AAA Mega Championship at Triple Mania. I'm really excited to see what happens. So, yeah, that was Andrade El Idolo's debut in AEW. We get a video package of Christian Cage and Matt Hardy. Okay, great. Tony Schiavone interviewing Arn Anderson. So, Arn Anderson, of course, is excited about, how we got the fans back, all that stuff, and the lights go off again. So as I stated earlier in the review, I did state that I thought it was just a normal botch. But no, I was wrong. And I was like, who could possibly just come out of nowhere? I'm probably thinking, I don't know, a Sabu, but like that's just me going over my head. Because Sabu, he always did that. The lights always shut off, and then once the lights always got back on, Sabu was in the middle of the freaking ring. But no, the lights go back on, and it's freaking Tommy End. And here in Portugal, 8 o'clock down in Jersey is in the equivalent to Portugal. It's 2 in the freaking morning, and in a quiet way, I went apeshit. Like literally, it's freaking Tommy End, aka Aleister Black, or what was it? What was that new name? Malaski Black. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but it's freaking Tommy End. And then he hits the black mask on Arn Anderson. Cody comes in out of nowhere. He literally is just pissed off at Tommy End after that, and Tommy End again hits the black mask on Cody Rhodes. Holy crap. That was a shocking moment. Again, I stated earlier, anything can happen on Dynamite. This was one of those moments. It was extremely shocking to see. Now, I looked it up. Apparently, everybody thought that Aleister Black, or now Tommy End, had a 90-day no-compete clause on his WWE contract. But apparently that is not the case. So what happened was that, according to PW Insider, basically what happened was that once WWE moved Aleister Black from NXT to the main roster, they usually, because NXT wrestlers always, once they get released, they always have a 30-day no-compete clause after they get released. But when you're part of the main roster and you get released, you get a 90-day no-compete clause. Apparently what happened was that once they moved him up from NXT to the main roster, WWE forgot to change the clause on his contract, so he still had a 30-day non-compete clause on his contract, which it kind of makes WWE look stupid, to be honest. So that's why he debuted so early. I expected him to debut at All Out. But hey, I'm glad we got him early. That means that there's definitely going to be a surprise this coming beginning of September, which I'm really excited to see what's going to go down in Chicago at All Out. But overall thoughts, I'm so happy that Tommy End is in AEW because WWE just did not do anything with him. Of course, he was a main eventer in NXT, but once they moved him up to the main roster, they made him in a tag team with freaking Ricochet. Then after that, they split them up, and then after that, they literally had him do a lot of these vignettes in a closed door. It was really dumb. And then he came back just last month on SmackDown after those really awesome video package of the Tales of the Dark Father. But then what happened? There was no future happening. After that, after he returned to SmackDown, he got released, and that was really shocking because of the fact that this guy could have been the face of WWE. You had a main event guy that you didn't book at all. Literally, if it goes to show you that WWE just wastes their talent. And I'm so happy that Tommy End is in AEW, and I definitely believe he will be AEW World Champion. Not only that, you had Andrade, who both Aleister Black and Andrade had a phenomenal feud in NXT, and he makes his in-ring debut on Dynamite, and Tommy End makes his first appearance on Dynamite. That is insane. That's crazy. But yeah, that was Tommy End. I'm so happy that he's in AEW, but Jesus, man, that was crazy. I went apeshit in a quiet way. Literally, it's on my Instagram story if you guys haven't checked it out. But dude, that is crazy. All right, we get a video package of Ricky Starks with security just talking crap. Of course, him and Brian Cage have a match with him and Brian Cage have a match for the FTW World Championship. I'm excited to see that. Of course, there's a little bit of tension and storyline happening with Team Taz, but of course there was security everywhere. Starks was just talking crap. It's a pretty good build-up, but it didn't happen during Dynamite. It was it was before the show even aired. So yeah, that's that. Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander versus the Blade and the Bunny. This was a pretty good match. Blade and Cassidy start. Aubrey Edwards takes away the brass knucks before the match starts. After that, Cassidy puts his hands in his pockets as he usually does, and he hits those amazing, and I mean amazing kicks on the Bunny. And then the match starts. We got a dropkick by Cassidy on Blade. Chops by Blade. Cassidy tries to hit the tornado DDT, but Blade hits the power slam. We got a stunner counter by Cassidy. After that, the Bunny makes a tag, works on Statlander. We got a power slam by Chris Statlander. We got a couple drops on the corner of the Bunny. Vertical suplex by Statlander. Blade grabs the boot. Elbow by the Bunny in the back of Statlander. We got a German suplex by Ali, a.k.a. the Bunny. Blade tries to attack Statlander after that. We get a DDT by Cassidy. We get a cover into a near fall. Cassidy goes to the top. Bunny takes him out. We get a 450 splash by Chris Statlander on Blade, which was awesome to see. Cassidy makes the cover and a near fall when Bunny pulls Cassidy out of the ring. Blade hits the brass knucks on Cassidy, tries to cover Cassidy, but is not legal. Then Statlander hits the cradle pile driver on the Bunny and wins the match. Overall thoughts, this was kind of like a little break before we head to our main event, but I thought this match was pretty good. Orange Cassidy is awesome to see. He's hilarious. Chris Statlander, I love the duo that they have. Of course, they got Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander, the best friends. Awesome to see. It was a pretty good match. Of course, Amanda Nunes in the crowd on Dynamite. I don't follow MMA, but she was in the crowd. Dan Lambert comes in the ring and just rants on AEW, and then after that, Lance Archer comes in and attacks Lambert and hits the blackout on Lambert. That's that. I honestly did not care about this segment. I definitely believe that this is just a one-off, but hey, it is what it is. Now we got our main event of the evening. The Young Bucks versus Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero in a street fight for the AEW tag titles. This was a really awesome match. If you know a match is good, once you're taking notes on a match, you know a match is good when you're missing a lot of spots while you're taking your notes. The reason why I say that is because this match was fast-paced. Almost every AEW match is fast-paced, but this match, my God, man. This match, there was a lot of shit that was going down. Kingston and Penta attack Nick Jackson after that. In the beginning of the match, my bad. Matt with the dropkick on the outside. Both Bucks, by accident, super kick Michael Nakazawa. Brandon Cutler's in the ring with Penta and Kingston. Both of the Bucks attack them both. We got a baseball slide by Kingston onto the chair on Nick. After that, Kingston takes the chair in between Nick. Penta with the stomp on the chair and hits Nick Jackson. Penta grabs the table, sets it up on the outside. Nick takes Penta head first onto the table. Kingston is on the top. He tries to suplex Matt, but does not. Powerbomb by Nick on Kingston. Penta hits the Canadian Destroyer through the table on Matt Jackson, which you guys know me. I love the Canadian Destroyer. Almost everybody does it now, but of course, the OG wrestler that hit the Canadian Destroyer was freaking Petey Williams in TNA, okay? I don't care what anybody says. The Canadian Destroyer is the best freaking finishing move in the history of wrestling. Nick kicks Penta headfirst on the garbage can. Kingston, during the break, gets sent through a table. Nick with a senton bomb, or swanton bomb, on Kingston on top of the trash can. We get a cover into a near fall. Roll up by Penta. We got a thrust kick by Penta. Sling blade by Penta after that. We get a thrust kick by Penta on Matt. We get a DDT by Penta. We got a sleeper hold by Kingston applied on Matt Jackson. After that, we got a cutter. Brandon Cutler tries to spray Penta with the spray, which Brandon Cutler just looked to be stupid in the match. And after that, we get a cover, but there's no referee. The referee comes in and hits a near fall. Kazarian all of a sudden comes in. Of course, the Good Brothers and Kazarian try to brawl after that. There's a lot of stuff going on in the match. After that, Kingston takes out both of the Young Bucks. Penta hits Matt with the trash can. Insigiri by Pentagon on Nick Jackson and Penta. After that, we get a Hurricane Rana by Nick on Penta through the thumbtacks. So no, we got a Hurricane Rana by Nick Jackson on Pentagon onto the thumbtacks. So after that, before that even happened, Eddie Kingston took out and just laid out thumbtacks in the middle of the ring. And Nick with that hit a really nice Hurricane Rana. I mean, last week he hit a really awesome Hurricane Rana, but this week, of course, he hit a Hurricane Rana on Pentagon through thumbtacks. How is that possible? We got a cover into a near fall. We got a double super kick on Kingston, then on Pentagon. They put the thumbtacks on Kingston's mouth, and Matt Jackson literally super kicks Eddie Kingston to the face with the thumbtacks in his mouth. We get a cover, and the Young Bucks retain the AEW Tag Team titles. Literally half of the stuff that I said in this video, literally I was just like, what the hell was I talking about? But it goes to show you how chaotic that freaking match is. Literally, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happened. And look, this was a TV match. And usually these types of matches happen on pay-per-view. You know, it goes to show you that WWE actually not WWE, or AEW actually cares about, you know, their fan base and cares about the television that they produce. You know, there's no rematches constantly. What you see in AEW, literally every match, especially on this show, most of the matches, almost every match mattered into this show. And, you know, of course, you know, Andrade had his first match. We got Tommy End making his debut. Of course, we had the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle, and we had this match. The Young Bucks looked great. Pentagon, awesome wrestler. Eddie Kingston, awesome on the mic, awesome wrestler. Full package, in my opinion. Everything was just flat out awesome in this match. Really brutal match, especially when it came to the thumbtacks. But this was a really awesome match to see. Overall thoughts, Road Rager was an awesome show from top to bottom. I don't want to be an AEW mark, as I said in the beginning of the video, but like when you watch this show, it makes you realize, shit, this coming Friday, I have to watch SmackDown, or this coming Monday, I have to watch Raw, knowing that it's going to be in front of no fans, and we're going to have to wait until next week until WWE goes back on the road. So, I mean, yeah, but like, of course, you know, it makes me excited for WWE to go back on the road and have full live fans in attendance, but the crowd in these shows, holy shit, man. The crowd on this show in Miami just knew their stuff. Like, when they were even chanting "You Got Fired" to Don Callis, it goes to show you that these fans are hardcore fans, because these fans are watching the Impact product. They're watching Impact Wrestling and seeing everything that goes down in Impact Wrestling. I barely watch Impact Wrestling. The only times I watch Impact Wrestling is when their pay-per-views happen. Of course, we had the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. We had the Rebellion pay-per-view, and of course, we got Slammiversary happening in a couple weeks. We got Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega, which I do think Sami Callihan is going to go over in that match. But I mean, bruh, like, this match was awesome. Tommy End, man, I went apeshit for Tommy End, bro. Like, because I expected him to come at All Out, but instead, no, he actually made his debut tonight because of the fact that he still had a 30-day non-compete clause in his contract, which makes WWE look stupid. I mean, they didn't even change it from a 30-day non-compete to a 90-day non-compete. Like, come on now, man. But, I mean, it's awesome to see Tommy End in AEW, so at least he's not in WWE, because I thought I would have been disappointed if he went back to WWE. But, hey, that's that. But, yeah, that was Road Rager. That was AEW Dynamite. Overall, awesome show. It makes me excited for Fyter Fest next week. Of course, we got the first night of Fyter Fest, and then the next week we got Fyter Fest Night 2, and then we got Fight for the Fallen. So it's going to be an awesome month for AEW. Let's see what goes down on the road to the All Out pay-per-view in September. So, yeah, that's that. That is Road Rager, and please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications. Follow me on social media on Instagram and Twitter. And this is Broken Havoc, signing out.